It's deadline day for Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu to form a new government after his far-right alliance won last month's election, the fifth election in less than 4 years there. The coalition is set to include religious ultranationalist groups like the Jewish Power Party, which holds anti-Arab and homophobic views. In 2007, its leader, Itamar Ben-Gvir, was convicted of racist incitement against Arabs and backing a group considered to be a terrorist organization by the U.S. He is expected to be named National Security Minister. Joining us now to talk more about this is Brett Bruen. He is the president of the Global Situation Room and the former director of global engagement for the Obama White House. Brett, glad to have you with us to talk about this morning. I mean, many say this could be Israel's most right-wing government in history. How concerned are you about this, and how damaging would it be for peace prospects and a future Palestinian state?
Well, I think this is a significant step in an extreme direction for the Israeli government. And obviously, it presents a real challenge to the Biden administration. How do they maintain that strategic, that strong relationship with a critical ally in the Middle East at a very fragile time? And I think ultimately this comes down to that old realpolitik of how do we find the ground on which we can collaborate while trying to contain some of the excesses that obviously some of the new ministers in Netanyahu's cabinet are likely to get up to.
Expect the Biden administration to react to all this, and do you worry that U.S.-Israeli relations could be harmed in the long run?
Well, this is going to strain relations. There's no doubt of it. I remember being in the White House, though, when Netanyahu came to town, he didn't bother to inform the administration and instead planned to address a joint session of Congress. And that certainly was a moment of considerable strain on our relations. But we never had these kinds of extreme elements in his government. And I think that is going to present a real challenge. The way the Biden administration's saying they're going to handle it is to hold the prime minister personally accountable for their actions. What does that mean? I think we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what kind of leverage does the Biden administration have in dealing with any extremist policies the government might adopt? I mean, maybe are they going to wait and see if that's what happens? Could they cut military aid, or what are the steps here, the carrot or the stick, perhaps the stick here?
Well, you know, Joe, the challenge in using leverage is we take our most considerable leverage, that military aid that you mentioned, more than $1 billion, and remove it from the equation. I don't think the Biden administration could cut back, certainly not remove any of that aid. And so you get into a situation where we try to work around the edges. For instance, Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to want to further the Abraham Accords, deals with not only other Gulf nations, certainly Saudi Arabia, and he'll need U.S. support to do it. So those kinds of actions, I think, are ways in which the Biden administration can say, if you want our cooperation on this, we're going to need to see that.
All right, Brett Bruen, really appreciate your expertise on this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.